The Forgotten Children of War, the fate of 25,000 Amerasians after Vietnam. Imagine this. You are born in the middle of a war. Your father is an American soldier, your mother is a Vietnamese woman, but when the war ends, he leaves, and you are left behind. You grow up being called names, mocked for your skin, your hair, your face. You are too American for Vietnam, but too Vietnamese for America. You are poor, hungry, and invisible. And worst of all, you have no idea who you truly are. These were the Amerasians, the children of two nations, yet belonging to none. When young American troops first arrived in Vietnam in the 1960s, they were boys just stepping into adulthood. Many were only 18 or 19, carrying rifles heavier than their understanding of the world. Amid the chaos of war, some found brief comfort in companionship. A few of those relationships blossomed into genuine love stories. Others were fleeting encounters, a night of solace before the next battle. From these bonds, children were born. They bore the undeniable features of America: lighter skin, straighter noses, curly or reddish hair. In another time, in another world, these children could have been celebrated as bridges between cultures. Instead, they became symbols of war. When Saigon fell in April 1975, the last helicopters rose from the rooftops, carrying soldiers to safety and leaving thousands of children behind. For the Amerasians, that moment marked the beginning of a life defined by rejection. Vietnam in the aftermath of war was scarred and starving. Cities lay in ruins, villages smoldered, and food was scarce. But while every child suffered in poverty, Amerasians carried an extra weight. They looked like the enemy. They were called My Lai, children of the enemy. At school, classmates pointed at them, tugging at their curly hair, chanting, "American, American," but not with admiration. The word was spat with anger, with hatred. Tran Thi Huang, one Amerasian girl, recalled, "When I was little, children would surround me, pull my hair, and laugh. Adults whispered, I felt like a stranger in my own land. Some mothers, crushed by shame or the impossibility of raising another child, left their Amerasian babies at orphanages. Others tried to hide them, covering their faces in markets, hoping their features would somehow fade into the crowd. But the truth was always written on their skin. And for many, the most haunting reality was silence. They grew up never knowing their father's name, never holding a photograph, never reading a letter. A fleeting romance in a war zone left no trace behind. Only a gnawing question remained: who am I? Between hope and exile. In April 1975, as the South collapsed, the U.S. launched Operation Babylift. Thousands of Vietnamese children, many of them Amerasians, were airlifted out of Saigon and adopted into American families. For some, this was salvation. A chance to escape hunger, to step into a life of safety and opportunity. For others, it was the beginning of another identity crisis. Growing up in suburban American homes, surrounded by white families, many Amerasians felt out of place. They were grateful to their adoptive parents, but every mirror reminded them of their missing roots. They were too Asian for America, yet too American for Vietnam. The question of belonging haunted them across oceans. And even rescue carried tragedy. One of the first Babylift planes crashed, killing 78 children and dozens of adults. It was a cruel reminder, even in salvation, war could still steal lives. For those left behind in Vietnam, life continued in the shadows. The years passed, but the stigma never softened. They were bullied, spat on, denied jobs, and treated as outsiders in their own country. Poverty pressed in like a vice. Then, in 1988, a door opened. The U.S. Congress passed the Amerasian Homecoming Act. For the first time, Amerasians were recognized by law. If they could prove their American parentage through their appearance, documents, or witnesses, they were allowed to immigrate to the United States. Between 1988 and the mid-1990s, about 25,000 Amerasians and nearly 70,000 of their relatives resettled in America. For many, it was the dream of a lifetime. Mothers wept as they sent their children across the ocean, whispering, "Find your father, find your future." But America was not the promised land they had imagined. When Amerasians stepped off the plane, they carried hope in their hearts, but also the scars of their past. Most had grown up poor, with little education. Few spoke English. Many arrived with nothing but a name scribbled on a piece of paper, the last trace of a father they had never met. Some did find their fathers. A reunion after decades of silence could bring tears, hugs, and healing, but not all stories ended in joy. One Amerasian recalled, "I found my father in Texas. We hugged and I cried. But after that, he never wanted to see me again. It was like being abandoned twice. For others, the search led nowhere. Their fathers had died. Records were lost. Some men, now middle-aged with new families, closed the door on the past. For their children, America became another place of exile. They were caught between identities once again. Too Vietnamese to be fully accepted, too American to ever belong back in Vietnam. Many slipped into low-wage jobs, poverty, or despair. Some fell into crime or addiction, crushed by an identity they could not reconcile. The land that was supposed to offer homecoming often became another battlefield, the long road to recognition. Today, the Amerasians of the Vietnam War are in their 40s, 50s, even 60s. Many still live in poverty in Vietnam. Others reside quietly in America, carrying wounds that never fully healed. But their search for identity and family has never ended. Modern technology has opened new doors. Through DNA testing, ancestry databases, and social media, some Amerasians have finally reconnected with long-lost fathers and siblings. Organizations like Amerasians Without Borders and Father Founded have played a crucial role in reuniting families. Each reunion is a moment carved out of history. A son sees his father's face for the first time, a mirror of features he has carried all his life. A daughter embraces siblings she never knew existed. Decades of silence break into tears, laughter, and trembling words. "I've been waiting for you." Yet not every story finds closure. For many, their fathers have passed away. For others, the paper trail is too thin to follow. They live with an unfillable absence, a question that will remain unanswered forever. Nguyen Thanh Trung, an Amerasian man, once said, "We did not choose to be born, but we are forced to live with the consequences of a war we had no part in starting." His words echo the truth of an entire generation. They were born into a conflict they did not cause, yet carried its scars in their very existence. Still, their story is not just one of tragedy, it is also one of resilience. Despite abandonment, they survived. Despite rejection, they searched. Despite silence, they held on to hope. They are living reminders that war does not end when the guns fall silent. Its consequences ripple across decades, across generations. And perhaps the greatest injustice of all is not just the pain they endured, but the way they were forgotten. For decades, Amerasians were invisible, hidden in orphanages, ignored by governments, erased from the history books. Yet they endured, they loved, they searched, they hoped. Their existence is a testament to the endurance of the human spirit. The Vietnam War may be history, but its children are still here, still waiting to be recognized, still waiting to be loved. And maybe, by remembering them, by telling their stories, we can finally begin to heal the wounds of a war that never truly ended.